Well, this is a first for On the Road. We're here at AWS reInvent. We're doing some new fun things tonight. Probably hear people in the background clapping. We have a live audience, so this is fun. This is new. We have two guests. We usually only have one, and we have music and casinos in the background. So I don't know what's going to happen. We're going to roll with the punches today. Very excited to talk about things as we wrap up the year. Obviously, things we're talking about at reInvent, but just challenges we face this year, the way that we're going to next year to drive more impactful programs, what you guys are learning, what you can share. First, we don't just do introductions. I have Honora Handley from AWS, Mike Finnerty from Foundry. Honora, we'll just share a little bit about what you do at AWS.
Sure. So first, thank you very much for having us here, especially on the road at reInvent. It's been a fantastic week. I manage a fantastic team of marketers all around the world who build campaigns and drive go-to-market activities with our core consulting partners. And we have a good time doing it.
Love it. Great to be here. I'm new to Foundry. I joined about 9 months ago, but I'm the president of Foundry and the leader of an amazing group of global team members that are constantly innovating for customers with a customer mindset, building the right products that connect really the buyer and sellers of technology and helping them to make better technology.
I'm going to talk shop, but I like to keep things a little personal. So I have a little bit of a lightning round question for each of you.
Yeah, great.
So Honora, I'll start with you. So, you're a marketing executive, top tech company out there. Well, when you were a kid, what did you want to be when you grew up?
Oh, so many things. I think I really wanted to be an FBI agent and a plastic surgeon. So,
You're bringing the two together.
I don't know how they would come together, but it was a dream. I had many jobs I really wanted to pursue, but, we ended up in marketing, and I love the creative side of it, the technology piece, the problem solving, the people, the world travel. So I have no complaints. But yeah, FBI agent, I can spot them sometimes in the airport. So,
I love it. Well,
I'm so keen.
My two top shows growing up were X-Files and Nip Tuck. So I felt like I got this covered from a show perspective.
There you go.
All right, Mike, different question for you, Will. I know you come from a military family. Your father served in the Marine Corps. So thinking of the theme of heroes, but superpower heroes. So if you could be any superhero, who would you be and why?
Ooh. I think I would probably be Flash, to be able to get around fast between all the things that I'm trying to get done, but balancing family, balancing work, making the business grow faster, serving customers. I flew out here first thing this morning. I'll be flying back home here on the red eye tonight. It would be great to be a little bit quicker.
You are?
Yeah.
Yeah, that's the quickest in and out of Vegas I've ever seen. So, all right, so Honora, we'll get down to brass tacks now. Your team takes a leading role in helping design partner programs. I think my question for you, though, is really how do you make those programs unique that the partner feels like they're feeling that their needs are taken in that program? Like, walk us through your strategy and how that works.
Sure. So first, I would say everything at Amazon starts with the customer first. And in our case, it's the partner. The partner is our primary customer in our organization. And we really try to develop those long-term trusted relationships. And so every interaction that my team has is really rooted in building and earning that continued trust. I think with that as a backdrop, we look at how unique each partner is and their go-to-market with AWS. We have different partners for different things, and sometimes they want different services out of AWS, and some are different in their partner maturity model and different in their partner marketing maturity model. So the things that we think about as a team are how do we really help the partner and AWS achieve our joint goals? And we can accomplish that through various marketing activations, whether that's brand and awareness at top of funnel, middle of funnel, bottom of funnel conversion with things like brown tables, where we look at formulating a lot of our marketing objectives to meet the business goals. and really partnering with companies like Foundry to make sure that we've got programs in place and there's a solid methodology around why we're doing something. So all of the back end, the content, the social, the activations feed into an overarching strategic plan that we refresh every year, but it's really intended to meet, short and long-term objectives.
I really love that, right? Because trust is paramount in these relationships, and it bridges the trust that we're trying to build every day at Foundry between an audience, the CIOs or the CISOs of any organization, and they need to know that there's amazing content, there's amazing experiences that they can get that firsthand knowledge from, and working with partners like AWS and across the broader partner marketing ecosystem to connect that thoughtful, trustful content into the right experiences to make those decisions a little bit easier for those business leaders.
Mike, can you go a little bit further on that? Because, obviously content audience plays a big role in how we're helping these programs go to market. Can you talk a little bit about the editorial strategy behind that content and what that means for tech marketers out there?
I mean, when you think about this army of writers and editors that we have across all of our brands at Foundry, we have our finger on the pulse of what's going on and how those communities are not only researching to find the right information, but how they're seeking out peer commentary, peer reviews, peer engagement to really look for a holistic view, because they have real challenges. There's real risks when you make the wrong tech decision, and real costs in both time and budgets. And we all know that time is super scarce in today's technology world, right? You don't have enough of it. And so our whole editorial content and audience development strategy is around how do we find where those trends are and how do we elevate them in a way that's not just news oriented, but in the context of the business decisions that they're trying to make every single day, to make those decisions that much easier for them. And if we're making those decisions easier for them, they're going to continue to engage. They're going to want to maybe engage in the webinar and video-based experiences that we host, or even come to a live event to connect more directly with the partners or with the thought leaders or with their peer community.
I would say, just to add on that, I think what's unique about, the way that, AWS approaches, that unique value proposition with each partner, and the way that we work with Foundry really keeps it in the family. So you have, one value proposition with maybe a certain partner, which is very different than another. And the content and the experiences, you want them to feel unique. Nobody wants to go to a cookie cutter webinar, right? You don't want to go to a cookie cutter event. So people's time really needs to be invested in the content, which needs to be high caliber, high bar. If they're going to take their time to listen to a webinar, it's got to be really relevant for them. And that messaging in the way that that's portrayed and advertised and even delivered is so important.
So important on the delivery. It's not just in that moment. It's across the entire decision journey that somebody might be taking. So they might not necessarily be engaged in one particular format or one particular channel, one particular mode of learning, and being able to follow them throughout that entire purchase journey is really, really important.
Yeah, when I think about events like reInvent, I think it's so important for marketers to attend these type of events, because I think sometimes we get so caught up in just the numbers of everything we do, and we can track everything these days. And I think sometimes we lose sight that, I think you said, like, these are real people with their jobs on the line. And you go to this event and you meet these people with these jobs doing these amazing things. It's real, and it brings the reality back to what it is that we're doing. I think that's really important.
Also, as marketers, we spend, a lot of us have spent, a decent amount of time in events, right? We produce the events, we plan for everybody else. And sometimes we forget to take the time to continuously learn and be curious and grow and learn from each other. And, having events like this is wonderful so that people can share some knowledge and network and, grow their own careers too.
So we talked a little bit about the effectiveness of the Foundry AWS partnership. What about that partnership do you think has made it effective? And maybe a different way to ask the question, what advice do you have for people out there trying to look to form their own effective partnerships?
Well, I would say trust, number one. I think that, having an open and honest dialogue, and that's something we really appreciate. Foundry's been amazing at taking feedback. We've no campaign is perfect. So we've had to, pivot, redirect. Content was late, content was early, people were ready, then they're on PTO. So having that flexibility in a partnership to try to still meet deadlines and manage to a launch, I think we really appreciate. Also, I would say just really understanding the way that we work and how we go to market and the relationships that we have with these partners, is important to our business. And we don't want to lose a great partner or customer from one bad experience. So, keeping that high quality and finding ways to work together and finding a solution that works in a time frame that works is really tremendously important.
I love that you say that. We use a phrase all the time at Foundry, feedback's a gift. And sometimes it's a really great gift when really great feedback comes in. Sometimes it's a little bit challenging feedback, but it only makes you better if you actually take that feedback and turn it into action. So really appreciate that.
Well, we get feedback. We take feedback too, just for the record. But no, the teams have been great. I think Foundry's model of having an account team is also really great. So you're not trying to figure out who you last talked to, at the company. And then on top of that, the data. I think what's been really valuable for us is that AWS is such a data-driven, heavy company that having the reports on what's working, what's not, and really the advice to pivot. If we have a successful campaign or one that maybe didn't meet objectives, there's recommendations that accompany that to say, hey, maybe we should go a different direction or try this different platform or try a different engagement methodology with those customers.
As data is so important, you got to find that signal through the noise and ultimately glean that insight because that insight may unlock an entirely new innovation, an entirely new opportunity as you expand the program.
So Mike, going a little bit deeper on that. So thinking about data and optimizations, a lot of the programs we run with AWS, we call these multi-partner programs, right? So it might be AWS plus 10 or even more partners, right? A lot of complexity there, a lot of data. How does that actually set Foundry up to succeed within all the complexity in data?
First thing you have to have is a framework or as to how you're going to be collecting that data. Ultimately, how then you can put it into the right experience so that then not only can you see and validate and verify the data, but then you can actually glean those insights. And those insights should cut across industries, should cut across partners. No partner should feel like they're starting at ground zero with anything that they do. And our biggest partners, we're trying to always give them the benefit of how are we learning from all of these various tactics, all of these net new innovations, because we're trying new things every day and bring them along faster, right? I don't want partners just starting at ground zero and feeling like they have to do it all themselves, that they're piggybacking off of all of the past knowledge, because in partner marketing, not everybody has a defined partner strategy. Not everybody has the maturity model like you expressed. And so we want to try to bring them up to that common standard so that then they can innovate from that, right? There shouldn't be anybody left behind or slower as it relates to these types of opportunities for Foundry.
I think what's differentiating there too is because we do these multi-partner campaigns, which really effectively drive scale, and AWS is very focused on scale. How do we reach more customers more effectively? That the model that Foundry has is pretty unique in the market to be able to say, we have a campaign framework, it's proven, we can plug and play different partner types, you can have a unique and distinct message and audience reach within each of that. I mean, it's fantastic.
And we have the audiences that we can actually drive them to as individual partner components, because context is super important too. It's not every CIO has all the same decisions to be made, all the same problems. Not every CHRO or CMO has the same problem. And you can actually find those audiences and bring them to those various partner components in ways.
You tailor the message too. So even in that multi-partner campaign, you're not that CIO who may be a target for multiple partners is not getting the same message or the same type of engagement. So it is that much more personalized to that particular partner, which is really important to their business as well.
Honora, you mentioned earlier about quality content. So I know a lot of challenge that partner marketers are facing is, how do I make one program not be a one and done? How do I put all this investment, especially in the content? I got one program and now there's no longevity to it. So how does your team approach a program to make sure that there's going to be extended value, whether it's content or a type of initiative you're taking to market?
Well, I'm going to steal a phrase I heard earlier this week that I love, and it was kind of like the stitching of the red thread, and how we're thinking about when you have an activation, how does that continue throughout the journey? So it's things like intent data, right? It's things more like personalization and how you're continuing to engage and nurture that particular content or contact throughout that journey. And I think when they look about, considering the message that they're receiving in the market, having that level of personalization and attention to detail for that specific offering with that specific partner is important. We also think about where else are they going in the world, right? Are they going to a major industry event? Are they coming to reInvent? And how are we marketing to those people throughout the year to help them convert in their journey?
I think this is actually a big innovation opportunity for Gen AI in the marketing landscape too, right? We know from some of the research studies that we've done at Foundry that there's 25 to 28 different people in the buying committees at any company. And not all of them are going to be as savvy in the technology speak. Not all of them are going to have the same exact decision criteria or influence. And using Gen AI tools to be able to personalize the content that our partners have to find the right navigation of the message, not just the channels and the activations throughout the year, but also in different formats, because not everybody learns and understands in the same exact way. And so you can't just throw a dense white paper out to everybody in that way. You're going to have to find the snippets and the social hosts and the live event-based interactions to make it really well.
Well, I think that where we've indexed a little bit more is, we will certainly continue to have the dense, rich white papers, but it's the snackable content that gets their attention to then further engage in that more dense content, or even, take their valuable time, like Flash, and come to an event like this, so that they're benefiting from that in-person interaction, which is time consuming. So
Mike, from a publishing perspective, what trends do you see coming from the publishing side related to Gen AI and how we're either serving marketers or serving readers like the IT buyers?
Yeah, I think it's about when readers land on an article or land on a video, trying to understand very quickly kind of why they're there, right? Understanding the context of their interests. And is it interests, and how does that get converted to intent? Can you be using, we've been talking about ideas like interactive Gen AI polling, right? Or modules that will actually induce a conversation, or maybe even the idea of a Gen AI BANT type interaction, so that you're starting to understand more of their specific needs or budgets and on the specifics of the problems that they might be actually looking for. So I think there's so much potential innovation really in that agent, that chatbot type experience to draw interactivity, because I think we've seen even in the partner marketing programs that when readers go deep, right, and they spend quality time on content, they're that much more likely to become legitimate prospects and legitimate leads for the program. And the more Gen AI based tools that we can actually develop that fuel that, I think it's going to be really fantastic.
Honora, I want to ask you, you talked a little bit about tailoring that message, right? And, here we are at an industry event in a room full of partner marketers, community based, right? How are you seeing the personalization of programs evolving, and where do you see this all headed?
Well, I think to almost piggyback off of what you said, I think marketers are using generative AI to better personalize the message. I've seen examples even this week of partners running marketing campaigns, for a university with more tailored content to say, hey, Rick, would you remember your time here at XYZ University? It's donation time. And they saw an 84% increase in responses just from that minor generative AI implementation in marketing. And I think as we get better and learn more, and, companies that we all work for, right, have policies around responsible and ethical AI, and we as marketers are given clear guidelines and tools to use, that will more rapidly evolve. Because I in talking with a lot of marketers this week, either partner marketers, field marketers, product marketers, PR, AR, teams are really eager to learn and engage with different generative AI tools, but they also want to be given that permission from their companies. So I see it as a tremendous opportunity ahead to further personalize and make campaigns more successful. I also see not just the chat bots, but I want like a personal assistant at the end, right? I don't want to have to enter in my flight information multiple times. I saw a robot on the floor this week, that had a full-on conversation with me and then drew my picture. It was great. So I think what's terrifying...
The technology or the picture?
Well, I'll say the picture. It was slightly terrifying. Also really delightful and inspiring. And I think even in the booth activations, they had, virtual assistants and let me guide you to this demo. So there was a lot of visual, engaging information that arguably is marketing, right? Even that demo to me was marketing to me.
But the thing that you were saying that I really appreciate being on the publishing side of this is that we need creatives to drive this technology, because ultimately the creatives in our respective organizations, the marketers or the editors or writers, they're taking things from 0 to 1. And the Gen AI tools are able to take them from 1 to 10 really, really fast. And then it makes more efficiency in the scaling of our jobs, but you still need that creative in the loop to really make the experience that much more differentiated, that much more authentic, that much more human, right, in the end.
Because we're marketing to humans, right?
Right, and it's a really effective tool to scale. I know of a marketing person who used generative AI to write about 50 emails for a CFO campaign in tech, and they did it in about 2.5 hours, where it would have taken their team about 5 to 6 weeks to write every single email. Now they did still go through and quality control it, which you should do anyway, but it really helped them with target efficiency and scale in that model.
Totally see that. Totally see it as an opportunity on the publishing, the research side, because Foundry's just one part of the broader IDG. And we have an amazing research team at IDC and looking at how all of their rich data and their rich content and research can actually ultimately become snackable, become more accelerated in the way that we can deliver it to market and partner up with the Foundry side of the house a little bit more.
Well, we're excited for that piece of it because, again, just being so data-driven, having a lot of those insights from your rich database as Foundry would, I think, really help a lot of marketing companies make decisions with informed and trend data, too.
Mike, I want to ask you real quickly. Honora earlier said something about, stitching the thread, right, your campaign strategy. I'd love to get your take of that from the publisher standpoint, because we work with a lot of customers that maybe they sponsor a face-to-face dinner over here, or they're doing a webinar over there and a white paper with leads here. How should marketers that are working with us approach that to get more bang for their buck, have a more strategic, linear approach throughout the year?
Yeah, so I think that for me, I come from more of a product development background, and I'm always trying to find the problem, right?
We won't hold that again.
Right, but I'm trying to find the problem, and when you clearly understand the problem, that is the way that you can actually start to stitch the thread through the various solution opportunities, whether that solution be upfront TAL optimization and enhancements and insights, or that could ultimately be how we target with particular content and personalize it to extend it either across the Foundry platform or even beyond. How do we take it out into LinkedIn? How do we take it out into these other, because we don't have all the audience. We think we have the most premium, the best audience, but those audiences also engage out on a lot of other news properties and social properties. And how do we allow that content and that insight to travel out, but ultimately know that it can come back and be attributed to the engagement model? So following those people into real life events, like at our events, we produce over 900 events globally here at IDG, and being able to connect the dots between the content that was engaged in January to the event that maybe was participated in April, to the webinar, and to the ultimate lead that maybe it turned itself into, or an appointment even that it had turned itself into by July or August.
I think that's something that we have really appreciated in working with Foundry is across those different engagement points, it's a seamless experience. They're getting the same consistent brand, the message that we want them to get at the right point in time, at the right engagement. And even if they go out, and encounter different experiences along the way from different web properties, they still come back. And because they're being intentionally...
We're being very intentional with that idea of we are a trusted place that a decision maker ultimately can not only register and engage with, but then know that it's a through line across the entire experience, that we're not just bonking them over the head the next time that they show up at the site with something impersonal or not necessarily being clear about the problem that we think that they might have at that account level or even at that contact level.
All right, so as we look to wrap this up, I want to really look ahead.
Okay.
So, Honora, for you, there's a lot of demands for marketers, whether it's new trends they have to jump along, like obviously AI, not new, but it was a big trend this year, and new demands in terms of reporting or targets they need to hit. How is AWS helping its partners and the marketers you're working with meet the ever-changing list of demands to come?
Well, that's a big question. Gosh, I think first and foremost, like we started with, everything starts with a solid plan, right? And that trust, and making sure that, people know where they're headed. Because as marketers, we get, there's distractions, an event pops up, or, there's a new press release, or the technical team built a new solution that we need to react to. And that's one of the things I love about working in partner marketing specifically is every day is day one. And you have a plan, and you have to have strategic flexibility, within that plan and working, with partners, because our businesses are agile. And at the end of the day, there could be some new announcement that doesn't really derail your long-term plan, but certainly like a generative AI, it's a new introduction of technology that makes you rethink it and reshape it. So one of the ways that we help our teams is really in that pre-planning effort and design, where we sit down with our partners, every partner that we cover, and have a strategic plan which tells us the why we're doing it. We also have a tool in joint marketing called a JMP. It's a joint marketing plan, and that is the what we're doing. So at any time, we know exactly what we're doing anywhere around the world, but we also are rooted in the rationale of why and where we're making these strategic investments with our partners to help grow that business.
The only thing I would add from my perspective to that is, I think that strategic plan is not as powerful if you don't have the people and relationships in place. I know working with AWS and many of AWS partners, very strong relationships with the partners to help guide through that changing landscape. And I think that's a key component to that.
Oh, well, thank you. The teams have really spent a lot of time, like I said, in earning trust. And it's a value that our company holds dear. And we always try to do the right thing. So,
well, Mike, similar question for you from the publishing perspective, right? So changing landscape, new demands, new tactics all the time. How's Foundry set up to help marketers kind of meet these ever-changing priorities?
I think it's listening first, right? So for Foundry, we have an amazing set of capabilities, amazing set of teams, option brands. What I want to make sure that we're always doing is we're being really intentional in the way that we hear the problem and then tailor the offering, whether it be an actual technology solution or a piece of data or a piece of content, and the service as well, right? Making sure that we're really being thoughtful about how we're connecting the audience to the partner in the most trusted way. And I think you have to do it through an iterative approach. You have to be really true to what your brand and your identity is all about, and you're at the core. And then from there, make sure that you're evolving and innovating in the ways that are true to that customer value proposition. And for us, we're that marketplace, right, where we're connecting both sides. And we have to be really, really true to that. And so as we think about the innovations that we take, we're going to always be putting the customer first. We're going to be thinking about the collection of the capabilities and the services in the right way. And then we're going to want to take some bets, right? And we're going to try some things, because I think IDG, IDC, Foundry, over the last 60 years have been real luminaries in the space. We've been out in front of all of these major moments in tech over the last 60 years. And I think we want to lean more into that as we move forward and take some bets. And I think we can do that with innovative partners like AWS and their entire ecosystem in some of these right ways. We were just talking about some of these ideas about that, leveraging the entire Amazon ecosystem in some new interactive marketing ways. So I'm excited about that.
Yeah. Well, you have such a storied and trusted brand, right? And I think, building upon that in the way that we partner together in creating, scale with the partners, but maintaining that unique value proposition within your frameworks has really driven, our team's results and our partners' effectiveness in sales.
So last question, which I think is the most fun question, and you get to take a lot of creative liberty with, is what advice do you want to leave people on the road with?
You get to go first.
Spend time listening. My dad always used to use this phrase, 2 ears, 1 mouth, double the listening to the talking. Really spend more time listening. And I think you're going to be really impressed with the amazing ideas and the connections that you can make from your past experiences. It's one of the things I've loved about podcasts in general and on the road. It's like you can actually really listen to thought leaders in the right way and then apply it in your own business and in your own context that way. So 2 ears, 1 mouth, double the listening to the talking.
Well,
All right. Now that I've had a chance to think goes, I would say to say yes more. Say yes more. Do all the things. Like when you're given an opportunity or a challenge or something you think can't be done, say yes to it and then figure out how to do it. And I found that not only does that, grow careers, it builds relationships, it gives you more opportunities, it stretches you as a marketer, as a person, as a human. And I think too many times you're thinking, oh, there's so much on my plate, I should not do that. But the most rewarding experiences I've ever had have been when you say yes to the hard facts and engage. And then you meet people that can help you accomplish it.
So listen more and then say yes. So, well, let's do a big cheers to everybody there. Thank you for everybody commenting. Get it out back.